So I have just finished my Jane Austen class for my master's degree, which means I'm pretty much finished. I still like a little bit, but I have just finished reading all 6 Jane Austen novels in 16 weeks. So needless to say, Austen's been on my mind lately, and I'm a little obsessed at the moment. So what we're gonna do based on that is I have a lot of rankings. Like, I've ranked a lot of things about the novels, and so we're gonna do that. Yay for obsession. Alright, so first, of course, is just ranking the novels themselves. So my number 6 Jane Austen is Mansfield Park. Okay, now I love Mansfield Park. That sigh was not because I don't like it, it's because I don't like that it's number 6. But I can't justify putting it higher. So anyway, I love Mansfield Park. It's just, I love all the others more, and so they're higher. I'm sorry. Number 5 is going to be kind of surprising, I think, Sense and Sensibility. Now, I love Sense and Sensibility. Again, I love all of Jane Austen's novels, so the fact that they're low, it's kind of like with my Narnia videos. It's not like this is my second to least favorite. This is my 5th favorite of her novels, is how I'm going to word it. But anyway, I do love Sense and Sensibility. It's just, I don't think the plot is as strong as it is, I'm pretty sure, one of her earlier novels. And yeah, I don't have that many thoughts about why I don't love it as much as I love the others. I do love Eleanor. And I love Colonel Brandon. But I don't think either of the romances in this were as developed as they are in some of her later books. And so that is not helpful, let's say. And then number 4 is going to be Northanger Abbey. Oh my goodness, Catherine. It's just a normal house, Catherine. So, Catherine frustrates me, but I love the novel, I love the snarky narrator, and I love Mr. Tilney. We're gonna get to him, we're gonna get to the love interests, and yeah, I love Mr. Tilney, but if I could get this book with a less annoying protagonist, I would love it more. But Catherine is just the worst. Actually, she's not. No, actually, she's my lowest rank. We'll get to the protagonist ranking in a minute. Number 3 is gonna be Persuasion. Oh, I love Persuasion. I love Anne. Anne is so sweet and so put upon by her terrible family. And I love the Musgroves. They are actually decent human beings. Great job, people. Good job. And of course, Captain Wentworth is just amazing. And yes, I'm not going into a lot of detail just because I have a lot of things to rank and I don't want to be here forever. So, 2 is Emma. I adore this book. I love Emma's character arc. And of course, Mr. Knightley is just... We're going to get to him later, too. I don't want to get too much into the characters because, But the story in Emma, I think, is really good. The plot and the romance is obviously, it's amazing. And then, of course, number 1, the boring answer, everyone's favorite, is Pride and Prejudice. You can't top Pride and Prejudice. You can't. It's just so good. Yeah, Pride and Prejudice. My number 1 Austen novel. I love it so much. And the characters are just all amazing. The plot is fantastic. It seems like everything there is purposeful, which everything in all of her novels seems purposeful. I don't know if there's a single character that doesn't do anything. Okay, so that was the ranking of the novels. Now let's rank the protagonists. And I have 7 protagonists, even though there are 6 novels, because Eleanor and Marianne, I'm counting both of them because I can. It's my video, so I make the rules, and I say both Eleanor and Marianne count. And that's that. Alright, so 7 is Catherine Morland. Now, I definitely sympathize with her as getting lost in your books and just loving what you're reading and all that. Oh, my golly, girl. Ugh. Girl. It's not real. Your gothic fiction isn't real. Grow out of it. Realize that's not real. So, yeah, Catherine drives me up the wall, drives me little bananas. I do like her character arc, but I don't like she gives me too much secondhand embarrassment. In fact, I was listening to an audio drama of the BBC audio drama of this, and I literally had to just fast forward through the scene where she and Henry have that conversation, and he's like, Catherine, my mom was sick. She died because she was sick. It's a normal house. no. So I had to fast forward through that whole conversation because I just couldn't take, after watching the movie and reading the book, I could not take hearing that scene a third time. Number 6 is Marianne Dashwood. Now, I know. She is, I love Marianne, okay? Don't get me wrong. I love her. In the, I'm going off of books here, not the movies, so also that. Although I will say, I do love the, there's some blue sky, let us chase it! From the Emma Thompson version. And, yeah, I do love that. But, Marianne, I am very much more of an Eleanor than a Marianne, and so I think part of that is that, and then her obsession with Willoughby, I'm like, girl, you just met this guy. Okay? Kind of like Elsa. You can't marry a man you just met. Like, no. At least find out a little bit about him first. Yeah. So Marianne is, and the way she treats Colonel Brandon just irks me because Brandon is, we're gonna get to the love interest. That's all I'll say. My number 5 is Emma. Again, I love Emma. She also gives me serious secondhand embarrassment. Emma, stop it. Don't be this way. Don't be so stuck up and jerkish. Don't treat Miss Bates that way, first of all. That just Box Hill. That's why she's lower. The entirety of the Box Hill scene. Plus Harriet. Plus what she does with Harriet. But then again, I love Emma's devotion to her father. I love how she does, like, she takes Mr. Knightley's rebuke, and she really takes it to heart. And I love that. I love how she goes to visit Miss Bates afterward, and even though I wish she would have actually apologized, I get why socially she would have said that's probably not a thing she could do, but she did try to make it up to her and stuff. I don't love the way she treats Jane, because Jane is also a precious one who should be protected. But again, I do understand the whole, like, I understand, but that doesn't mean I approve. Alright, my number 4 character is going to be Eleanor. Again, love Eleanor. I'm more Eleanor than Marianne, I think, and I love how she holds her family together because, oh my goodness, her mother, Mrs. Dashwood, seriously, why is your daughter the responsible adult here? And I want to say she's like 19. Like, I'm 22, almost 23. 19-year-olds do not make good decisions generally. So, props to Eleanor for that, but also she's not as interesting a character as some of the others. And then my number, let's see, that was 4. So my number 3 is going to be Fanny Price from Mansfield Park. I love Fanny. I want to hug her and love her because no one else does. I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but, like, it's also not. I love how she puts up with everything, and I love how she is so humble, and yet she's not willing to compromise on her principles. Even when her uncle, the person who has taken care of her, taken her into his home, and really has been more of her father than her actual father, obviously, since she didn't grow up at home. Even when her uncle is against her and trying to convince her to do something, she says, no, I am not going to marry Henry Crawford. I know things about him, and I also appreciate that she's not going to expose Maria. I would have said Maria. The movie says it Mariah, so I'm confused. But anyway, I do appreciate that she's not going to immediately expose Mariah. But yes, I love Fanny, and she deserves so much better than the way literally everyone treated her, except for, actually, Edmund was kind of a jerk to her on some occasions too, so. But yes, I do love Fanny. Number 2, Anne Elliot. Oh, Anne Elliot. Again, she deserves so much better than she was treated by her entire family. And I love that she grew from her moment of weakness. Like, obviously, she should not have succumbed to Lady Russell and broken things off with Captain Wentworth. But you can tell she regrets that, and I think Anne deserves so much better than her. Basically, the ones that you see them and literally everyone around them is a jerk, those are the ones that I want to just hug and say, no, the world has been mean to you, I will not be. It's like you need somebody to love you, and I'll do that. Sure. That kind of a thing that I have with a lot of characters. Usually the ones that are younger than me, but sometimes not even that. Okay. And then, of course, my number 1, it's Lizzie Bennet. Like, boring answer, but Lizzie Bennet. Can you top Lizzie Bennet? She is I love her, I'm gonna say sass. I feel like that's okay to say in this case, because she is pretty sassy. But I also love how she is willing to rethink her attitudes about Darcy. Like, she's not just set in her own opinion at some point. She is for a little while. But how when she reads his letter about Wickham, she's like, no, there's no reason, he has no reason to lie at this point. He is definitely telling the truth. And I love how she forgives him eventually. And yes, there's so much about her that I really just, I love Lizzie, and I wish I was more like her, but of course I am not. No, I'm Mary. If I'm any of the Bennett sisters, I'm Mary. Lizzie or Jane. If I could be Lizzie or Jane, I'd be a happy girl, but I'm not. I am Mary. So, yeah. I guess it's a good thing I'm not Lydia. I guess we'll take what we can get. Next, we're going to rank the love interests, because, yeah, we'll rank them the love interests. So my number 7 love interest is Edward Ferrars. Dude, okay, I appreciate that you're going to keep to your word and marry Lucy. But just tell Eleanor. Don't lead her along. Don't make her fall in love with you. Tell her, I'm sorry, I love you, but I made a mistake. I am engaged, and I can't tell my family, so please also don't tell your sister-in-law. But I'm sorry, I wish I could be with you, but I can't. Like, it's not that hard. Don't just make her think you're a very eligible man when you are very much not an eligible man. It's not that hard. Edward, it is not that hard, okay? So that frustrates me about him. I do, like I said, I appreciate that he's going to stick by Lucy, even though he doesn't love her anymore. He's given her his word, and he's gonna keep it. But he did my girl Eleanor wrong. Okay, number 6 is Edmund Bertram. Also, I like how he is the nicest person to Fanny, but that does not take much because no one is nice to Fanny, so he's the only one who is. But, even he forgets her multiple times. He falls in love with Mary Crawford and is too stubborn not to fall out of love with her because she is so terrible. Fanny has seen it this whole time. How did you not see it, sir? Like, there is just so much about Edmund Bertram, and I'm like, okay, on the one hand, yes, good for being nice to your lonely cousin who needed a friend, but also, sir, no. You're in love with the wrong girl. Why do you not see it? Number 5 is Henry Tilney. Now, 5 does not mean he's terrible. There's basically nothing wrong with Henry Tilney. He is so precious, and I love how he teases Catherine, like when they're on their way to Northanger. That's just such an adorable scene where he's poking at her and being like, oh, this is what's going to happen, obviously, based on these Gothic novels. And she, like, half believes him, and then eventually she's like, you're just teasing me, aren't you? Like, I love their dynamic. I love how he treats her, and, yes, so Henry Tilney, I love him. I just don't maybe love him on as much of a level as I love numbers 4 through 1. Alright, number 4 is, number 4 is Captain Wentworth. I was just having a last minute decision of, do I want to switch these around? I don't know. I don't know about my top 3, but number 4 will be Captain Wentworth. Where to begin with Captain Wentworth? Persuasion was the last one I read also, so it is very fresh on my mind. But I love how he comes back, and he's still so in love with Anne. Now, I don't appreciate how he very much makes the Miss Musgroves think he's falling in love with them. That's not okay, sir, but also he didn't realize that, so, like, I'll cut him some slack for that one. But, and also, he purposefully says that thing at the dinner. Well, the movie makes it look like she's actually there. I don't think she was. But anyway, there are some things that he says that are definitely slights at my girl Anne, and I don't appreciate those. Do not slight my girl Anne. However, I do understand he's hurting, and she hurt him badly, and he definitely, yes, you deserve to be a little frustrated, but also cut her a little slack too, please, sir. But I love how even, like, when he gets Admiral Mrs. Croft to take her home because he can tell she's tired, or just when, in his letter, of course, I am half agony, half hope. Oh, yes. Captain Wentworth is just so amazing. You know what? I'm sticking with my earlier order. Number 3, Fitzwilliam Darcy. That's right, he's number 3. Now, don't get me wrong. 3 is very good, right? No, 3 is amazing. Darcy is so good, eventually. Like, he is, but it takes, obviously Lizzie has to see further than it. But he does come off, like, he's very prideful at first, obviously, hence the title of the book. But, he does have issues, but he's willing to listen to Lizzie, first of all, when she calls him out. Like, that is definitely impressive. He does a very bad job at a proposal. Terrible job, sir. Don't do it that way ever again. No. Oh, that first proposal was a dumpster fire. There's a good reason Lizzie denied it. But then again, by the end, he understands that. He's like, yeah, no, I cannot believe I was that terrible. And just the way, what he does for Lydia. And the fact that he did not want anyone to know. Like, he did it just because he loved Lizzie so much. But also, he did it not expecting anything from it. Like, he wasn't going to go immediately and say, hey, Lizzie, I'm the one who did that. Will you marry me? Ask her again. He wasn't going to, like, he did not really want her to know. She only accidentally found out. So I love that. That is so, he is such a noble man. And I do really appreciate him for that. However, there are two Austen men who beat him. Number 2 is Colonel Brandon. Now, yes, I do think that the romance with him and Marianne is very underdeveloped in the book. I appreciate what they did with it in the 95 adaptation. But I love how he, even though he knows she's not in love with him, he's going to do whatever he can for her. And I love how he takes care of Eliza and, Eliza's daughter. Was Eliza's daughter also named Eliza? The girl that Willoughby ran off with. That girl. You know who I mean. I love how, again, how good of a man Brandon is. Yeah, there's nothing negative about Colonel Brandon, I don't think. Other than the development of the romance is the only bad thing that I would say. And then number 1, the best Austen love interest. It's Mr. George Knightley. Because, oh my goodness, Mr. Knightley. I love how he calls him out. He is the only one who both sees her problems and is willing to tell her about them, and the only one that she listens to. Even really Miss Taylor or Mrs. Weston is not going to call her out nearly as clearly as Knightley is. And again, like I said, Box Hill was one of the reasons that I don't like Emma. Box Hill is one of the reasons that I love Mr. Knightley, because badly done, Emma. He loves her so much, and yet there he is. He calls her out, and yet the next day he forgives her. That's my one qualm with the 2009 version of Emma, is that it doesn't, like, it looks like he's still mad at her when he leaves, but that the book is very clear, like, no, he forgives her. So yes, there's a reason he is named Knightley, because he is just he is Austen's best male character, and yeah. So yeah, Knightley is definitely number 1 on the love interest. Alright, now I'm gonna rank the villains. And I'm ranking these in order of how terrible they are. So, like, the bottom one is the least terrible, and it goes up to the top, who is the worst. And so number 6 is Mr. Elton. Now, don't get me wrong. I despise Mr. Elton. He is annoying and terrible, and I hate how he treats Harriet. How he acts like he's so far beneath her, when in reality, he doesn't deserve her, not her. Yeah, she's too good for him. Even though he thinks he's so much better than, he thinks he's so much better than she is, but in reality, she's the one who's better than he is. But also, he's not, like, he doesn't do anything too terrible, other than just be mean to Harriet, and go off and marry a terrible person, but, yeah. So he's not the worst. 5 is Mr. Elliot, William Elliot, the cousin in Persuasion. I don't hate him as much. He's definitely annoying, and I don't like him at all, but he's not as terrible as some of the other guys. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about him. Again, it's not like he doesn't do bad things. He definitely has done some terrible things to Mrs. Smith, especially, but when we get further down the list, we get the worst people. 4 is John Thorpe, because, oh my goodness, sir, no. First of all, I would like to shove a bar of soap in your mouth and leave it there. And, secondly, go away, leave my Catherine alone. She wants to be with Mr. Tilney, not with you. She did not agree to your proposal. Do not try to gaslight her. Yeah, there was a lot of things about Thorpe that I just did not like. But again, the top 3 did some really horrible things. So Thorpe is the least of these 4 evils here. Number 3 is Henry Crawford. I know, Henry Crawford is the one who ran off with a married woman. That is true. But I think the text is supposed to point us to how Maria definitely should have known better. Like, Maria is clearly written as having more, like, she was definitely less seduced than Lydia is, for example. We're going to get to her in a minute. So yeah, but definitely do not like, and I truly do think Crawford loved Fanny to some extent. Not enough, obviously, not correctly. And I do think Fanny was right to tell him, no, don't get me wrong, I am not on Mary Crawford's. Well, it's your fault, Fanny, because you didn't marry him. I am not on that train. No, sir. But also, yeah. So Crawford is terrible, but whatever. 2 is Willoughby. Willoughby, you hurt my Marianne. And again, Marianne was really low on my list of protagonists, but I don't care. Don't mess with her. She is precious, and and also what he did to, I want to say the daughter's name is also Eliza, but Eliza's daughter, I don't remember her name. I want to say it is Eliza. Anyway, whatever her name is, the fact that he ran off and left her also. Again, he is definitely painted as much more of a villain than Crawford, for example, because it's implied that he seduced the girl and definitely tricked her into some things. But the reason that he is number 2 and not number 1 is just because I do believe he actually did love Marianne to some extent. And then we have number 1, who is, of course, George Wickham. We loathe, is 5 Wickham. He is the worst. He didn't love any of them. He did not love any of the girls he was playing with, not even Lizzie. I don't think he loved Lizzie. He definitely didn't love Lydia. Or Georgiana. Like, he was just pure selfish, out to get what he could out of everything. Okay, I'm going to try to go through these a little bit faster. Ranking parents now from the Austen novels. The worst is Mr. Elliot by far. And some of the parents I'm ranking together, and some of them I'm splitting up. So I actually have 8 entries for parents. Mr. Elliot is the worst. He treats Anne horribly. What is there to say? He's just terrible, self-absorbed, all that nonsense. Mrs. Norris, I don't like her. She treats Fanny badly, but she also spoils the other girls, so like she definitely mistreats Fanny and neglects her. And then it's just a horrible situation. Mrs. Norris and Maria deserve each other. Then Mrs. Bennet, I love Mrs. Bennet, but woman, control your daughters. Don't raise Lydia, don't favor Lydia. Why is Lydia your favorite? I don't understand. You have Lizzie right there. Also, why do you treat Mary the way you do? I don't understand. Mary is sweet. I love Mary. Yes, I'm biased because I'm a reader. Anyway. Number 5 is Sir Thomas from Mansfield Park, to be clear. He definitely has some faults. He's too strict of a parent. But there are some redeeming qualities to him, and I love how he does truly care for Fanny, and you see that in the end. 4 is Mr. Woodhouse, Emma's dad. He literally makes it this side because, one, he loves Emma so very much, like you can tell how much he loves his daughter. And then for pure comedy alone, and yes, a lot of that is coming from the 2009 adaptation because, oh my goodness, that Mr. Woodhouse is the funniest. He's so good. One of the other people might do something rash, like opening a window, like the way he says it. It's just pure gold. Number 3 is Mr. Bennet. Again, Mr. Bennet makes it this high. One, because he actually loves all of his daughters, but especially Jane and Lizzie. But also because of his pure sass. Again, I love the, what is the line? A sad alternative is before you now, Lizzie. You must from this day be separated from one of your parents. Your mother will not see you again if you do not marry Mr. Collins, and I will not see you again if you do. I love that so much. But he does have issues, obviously. 2 is Mrs. Dashwood. She has issues, but also she's probably the best intentioned of all the parents, other than number 1. And yeah, she has the least issues, I think. 1 is Mr. and Mrs. Morland, because they're actually decent parents, and they tell Catherine, these are the things you need to do. Don't be stupid. And they don't seem to have too many character flaws. So, hey, great job, Mr. and Mrs. Morland. Good job parenting. Alright, now really quickly we're going to rank the relationships. I've already talked about most of these, so yeah. My number 7 is Eleanor and Edward, because, again, if he had not lied to her the entire time, I would probably love them a little more. 6 is Marianne and Brandon, just because they're not well developed. I ship them, but also they literally get together on one page. I love what the movie did with them, though. 5 is Fanny and Edmund, because Edmund spent the entire book chasing after Mary Crawford. Why, sir? Why? Yeah. 4 is Catherine and Henry, just because they're precious and I love them. And yeah, I ship them very much. 3 is Anne and Wentworth, because I'm half agony, half hope. Like, do we need to go over that again? I don't think we do. They're both amazing, and so if you put 2 amazing people together, of course it's an amazing ship. 2 is Emma and Knightley, because he makes her better, and Knightley is wonderful, and Emma is precious, and I just love them together. And then 1, of course, is Lizzie and Darcy, because because what else would number 1 be? It's Lizzie and Darcy. We can move on. Really quick, this has been a very long video, I know. 25 minutes, wow. And I need to go to church soon. But really quick, we're going to do the movie adaptations, and we're only doing my favorites of each of these. So I'm going to identify them probably by the lead actress, and I'll try to give the year, but the actress is going to be more accurate than the year. So my number 6 is Northanger Abbey, the Felicity Jones. I think it's 07. It's fine. There are some, she reads from a book, which it replaces Udolpho, Mysteries of Udolpho, with the monk, and that's just rude, because I love Udolpho. And also, there were some passages that she read that she should not have read. Oh my goodness, that was a little too much. And then there was another scene that we skipped, because no, I don't need to see that. So yeah, there was, and also John Thorpe said too many words, but obviously that's the point of John Thorpe's character. That's why I said he needed a drip bar of soap shoved in his mouth. Number 5 is Sense and Sensibility, because it cuts out Willoughby's redemption scene. Like, not really redemption, but Willoughby's repentance, sort of. It cuts out Willoughby's explanation, and it does a lot of thematic things with the story to change it. That said, Margaret, I love what it did with Margaret. I love what it did with Marianne and Brandon. Casting, they were all cast too old, but the actors played their parts well. 4 is Mansfield Park. It cuts out Fanny going home, so that's a major part that's just missing, but it's a movie, so I get it, why you would need to shorten it, but yeah, the Billie Piper version. Sense and Sensibility was the Emma Thompson version, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But this is the Billie Piper 2000, again, I think this is 07. Yeah. So, it's fine, it's just not the best. Also, the fact that the actor who played Elton in My Favorite Emma, we're going to get to that one, Edmund is not helpful. Elton is not romantic. And so it's weird seeing him as the hero. Anyway, 3 is Persuasion. I think this one's also 07, Sally Hawkins. First of all, Captain Wentworth is played by a guy who was in a bunch of Hallmark movies, or in at least one Hallmark movie as a prince, so that definitely didn't hurt. And then, I love I think all the actors and actresses are really well cast. Mrs. Smith isn't in it enough, and they're not in Bath long enough. But other than that, this movie is really good. Also, it doesn't really do Charles Musgrove justice, which I get, fine, he's not that important, but also, I love my two sassy brothers, the two brothers-in-law, John Knightley and Charles Musgrove, they are wonderful. So yeah. Number 2, Emma 2009 Romola Garai version. I love this version so much. It's one of the best book movie adaptations I think I have ever seen. Again, the only thing my main problem with it is that it does seem like after Box Hill, after Emma's gone to see the Bates, and then she comes back home and Knightley is there. It seems like he's still mad at her when the books make it clear, no, he's not. When he almost kisses her hand, the book says Emma doesn't know why he stopped, but also she knows that means that he's forgiven her, like the way he does it. So I don't like the way that the movie plays it off, because the movie plays it off like he's still mad at her or something in that scene. Anyway, I don't like that, but I love this version. And then number 1, of course, is the 95 Jennifer A. Colin Firth, Pride and Prejudice. Best, like, as an adaptation, probably the best adaptation out there. Is that because it's basically word for word? Yes. Do I care? Is that, like, yes, that's why it's so good. It captures the spirit of it. Also, there's a reason my top 2 are miniseries and not movies, because for these books are so dense that a miniseries does it better than a movie could. And yes, but acting, costuming, sets, casting, just everything about the 95 Pride and Prejudice is perfect. Alright, so I'm losing my voice, and I've just thrown a lot of Austen stuff at you, so hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if your rankings differ, what you think about mine, if I'm completely wrong about anything you think. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Bye.